What's up everyone, John from ARTV. It's time to talk about the second studio album by Sublime with Rome, a pop reggae outfit that formed in 2009 as the second incarnation of the band Sublime. Unfortunately, that band came to a halt in 1996 after lead singer Bradley Noel overdosed, and for a long time these members were very inactive. Eric Wilson and Bud Gaw occasionally playing together and that sort of thing. But then in 2009, Rome Ramirez came in as the singer and they put out an album in 2011 called Yours Truly. Now the follow-up, Sirens, is coming out, and we got the lead single, Wherever You Go. I was mildly interested in it, but I don't want to just dive into this album by myself. I'm actually having the assistance of Spin It Reviews. He's coming onto the channel to talk about the album with me. Spin it, and just like that, I'm joined by Mark from Spin It Reviews. And
I just realized you're the one in the spinning chair.
I am. And that's kind of ironic considering your Spin It Reviews.
Yes, thank you for explaining the joke.
Yeah, I feel like it was necessary, kind of like that time in my original Take Off Your Pants and Jacket review that I explained the meaning behind that deep album
Or on Get Your Heart On.
I'm curious though, what are your thoughts and your relationship with either Sublime or else even Sublime with Rome over the years?
I suppose you could just call me a casual fan. I, like a lot of people, am a fan of that self-titled album. Contain all the big singles on it, What I Got, Crest Me Down. It's pretty hard to deny, they made a pretty interesting genre fusion with their mixes of like ska and punk and reggae, and they made some pretty interesting and fun music in the process, and it's kind of unfortunate that that initial incarnation of the band had to go out so soon.
Yeah, it is definitely a tragedy, but I wasn't exactly sure how I felt about it whenever they brought up the whole Sublime with Rome aspect and this new idea, because to me it just kind of feels like they're trying to play off of the success of a past band. And looking past that though, how do you feel about Yours Truly, the debut album from this outfit?
Well, I actually got this album when it came out.
Nice.
It's my prized possession.
Right, of course.
And even though I absolutely love the song Panic, I think that's probably the best song that's come out of the whole Sublime with Rome thing, and honestly ranks among my favorite Sublime songs, period. A lot of this album really had it really homogenized to me. Like, a lot of the songs felt exactly the same with how they were presented with the whole just pop reggae kind of format, and at the end of the day, it was okay, but still kind of uninspired.
Right. I thought some of the songs, even though they were, like you said, they kind of had that homogenous feel, some of them blended together, I thought that some of those were still managing to be enjoyable, like PCH, because it was a breezy enough jam, and then, of course, Panic is one.
Take It or Leave It.
Take It or Leave It, definitely, is another one. Can You Feel It, featuring, I'm just kidding. There was a track there was a track featuring Wiz Khalifa on there that was a complete embarrassment to the original formation of Sublime, and I'm very sorry for that.
And honestly, my quick opinion on the whole thing is that I kind of agree with you, and it's not even one of the situations where, like, the singer leaves and, like, they might have co-written some songs, but they can still keep going and have that same, edge.
Right.
Really, Bradley was, he was, the main creative force behind the band, from what I've seen.
Yeah, that's true.
And so it really is, a completely different thing, only they just happen to have a similar style and play Sublime songs live in addition to this stuff, and with with their original drummer leaving too, and Josh Freese coming in here, even though he probably has better things to do than this, it really just ends up feeling like a glorified tribute band going into this new album.
Right. It just seems like they've kind of done, going into this new record, Sirens, it just feels like they've kind of done a 180 in terms of the creativity that I felt from a lot of the early material, and even a few of the tracks on Yours Truly. But what were some of your favorites here on this new record? What were some of the things that worked for you, I should say, on Sirens?
Well, really the first thing I want to point out is the one that you did, the lead single, Wherever You Go. At first I wasn't really too into the song just because it's really overproduced, and the bridge kind of makes me cringe a little bit because it feels a little pandery. But the more I got into it, the more I saw it was sort of a decent pop reggae love song. It's got some nice grooves to it. It's really catchy.
Right. I'd say it's among the best on this album.
Oh, definitely. And in a way, I think I'm not sure if it says it probably says bad things about this album that I grew to appreciate it within this context, just because it's one of the better ones in context.
Right. I was about to say, think about it in context. Don't think about it as in this is a legitimately great song or something that. It sounds very polished to me. It does like I said, feature among my favorite tracks on the record, but I think there's a lot of elements that don't work on it. Although I think the chorus is pretty earwormy, honestly.
Going back to favorites, one that actually I think the two of us kind of disagree on, and I kind of want to get out of the way just because we agree on pretty much everything else on here, is the song Brazilia that comes right after that. To me, it has this kind of moody style to it that I'm really digging with like the synth work and stuff. And it's got really nice bass lines on this that I'm really enjoying, and an almost like Middle Eastern vibe with like this instrument that they're playing in the chorus, like or after the chorus, that I can't quite identify.
I just feel like it tried way too hard to be like this darker leaning pop reggae jam, and it doesn't really even have enough to satisfy. It's very uneven all throughout. It's one of those tracks that you're just throwing in some drug references, some lazy vocals,
I
predictable grooves there. It's just, if you mix all those together and you got a mediocre as hell song.
You know what the drug reference is? I agree. Lyrically, it's pretty lame.
Yeah, exactly. And as far as another song that we disagree on here on this record, you said there's only one. I think there was multiple, honestly, whenever we were discussing this a little bit. The opening track and the title track on this record, Sirens, featuring the Dirty Heads.
Well, I mean, I feel like we have the same things to say about it, but there are things where you were more willing to overlook. This song's a complete mess. Let's just be completely honest.
But it's infectious. It's an infectious mess.
But should it be though?
Yeah.
Because like the first off, like the Beastie Boys sample in the beginning where it says "kick it," that was so cringeworthy to me. And it's got this, and I think something we agree on is like it's got this like weird noise in the background playing this whole song. It's like a weird like broken alarm, or how did you put it?
I said it sounds like a fart because there's this one synth note that just keeps getting pushed in the background, and it does kind of sound in some ways like an alarm going off, a pulsating alarm that's set to go off like every 30 seconds or 10 seconds.
And we were talking about Can You Feel It on the last album with Wiz Khalifa. There was another rap feature on this album, that being Dirty Heads, and personally, I like the Dirty Heads. Rome was featured on their big hit, Lay Me Down.
Right, great song.
Yeah, and their first album's pretty good, even though, you know, their later stuff is a bit eh.
Right.
But, the main rapper, the rapper from Dirty Heads, has a verse on this, and it starts out okay, serviceable, but then it gets horribly obnoxious.
Oh yeah, seriously, he comes in, he name checks Kid Cudi, he basically tries to give off this vibe like don't fuck with me and that sort of thing, and he tells his haters to go climb a dick, and that's whenever I just want to.
And he talks about a girl blowing him like a porpoise or something. It starts to have some kind of potential with lyrics that start talking about like aging in the first verse, and like it actually starts to be mature a little bit, but then it just gets completely, it shows hints.
Right.
Hints. But then it just goes completely off the rails with the Dirty Heads verse, and it gets completely incoherent by the end.
Right.
And by the way, speaking of lyrics that seem to start they're going somewhere and then just completely toward the middle of it. House Party.
Yeah, I think I knew exactly where you were going with that. That's exactly what I was thinking of in my head, because it starts off good enough. It's got these lyrics. It's like a daughter, I guess, talking to a father, and like the parents don't approve of like her lifestyle that she's taking on and that sort of thing.
Getting in all kinds of trouble and stuff.
Right, exactly. And I'm like, okay, it's kind of whatever, but it's got
a little preachy, but it works.
It's okay. But then like Rome pops in like out of nowhere, and he's just like,
hey, let me take you in the bathroom, and then we'll.
And I just want to let you know, he has to let her know. It's like he's grabbing her, like by the shoulders and like saying it to her face, and like, hey, it's a motherfucking house party. I just wanted to let you know. But my point here is the fact that this girl is at the party. She attended this party. Why does he feel the need to let her know that she's at a motherfucking house party when it's blatantly obvious in your face? Unless this girl is blackout drunk, when in point in case she doesn't even care anymore.
And in which case, the stuff the parents are saying is probably kind of justified. So Rome is the bad guy in this situation.
This song, honestly, in terms of even its instrumental, it's weak chorus,
and for some reason it tries to go for like almost EDM-ish build-up in the pre-chorus, but then just goes back into the whole pop reggae thing in the chorus. It's like, why was that even there?
Exactly. It's filler content at best, and I think that's how you said you were feeling about the track "Been Losing Sleep" that appears like right on this album.
The way I put it is like it's just this total like anonymous, like, missing you girl. The way I put it in the notes is actually like missing the letter U, G-U-R-L, missing you girl song. And with the quote-unquote stock Sublime with Rome instrumental number 3. I'm just imagining they had the production booth. Like, the band wasn't even playing on it. They just had this royalty-free pop reggae instrumental that they just used for this song.
It came with their edition of GarageBand or
exactly.
something like that. And they just
Fruity Loops.
Exactly. We'll just throw this one on here. Exactly what you're saying. I agree with you 100%. It just feels like one of those ones that you would expect for Sublime with Rome to just crank out. It's formulaic.
This was not meant to be memorable.
While I am lukewarm on the majority of this track, I have to say that the chorus is really growing on me. It's one of those things that's like starting to get stuck in my head and that sort of thing. And while I'm just not really warming up to the majority of the track, I gotta give it the benefit of the doubt there.
I suppose, fair enough. But something that we can't really be as forgiving to is the song right after that, the jam,
the
Promised Land dub.
I have a lot to say. I'll have a lot of complaints about that track, I should say.
First off, what was the original Promised Land that they're doing a dub version of?
I'm not exactly sure. I couldn't find any information about that. I actually tried to look.
Was it on like a really early Sublime album?
I'm not sure, but this track,
I don't think so.
It just seems like it's trying to like be there just for the sake of like some longtime fans might want to hear this, so they felt like obligated to do it, but there's no real heart behind it.
It's 5 minutes long, by far the longest song on this album, and it's 3 minutes too long.
Exactly. I
mean,
mean,
it really just does the exact same thing over the entire 5 minutes. It has these really annoying synths going on in the background for the entire length of this thing, and really has no reason for existing, really, other than, I guess, like a Pop Smoking soundtrack, or just like creating filler content for an otherwise really short album. Like, this thing is 35 minutes, and this technically takes up a seventh of it out of these 11 tracks.
Exactly. I mean, like, there's not that much to like about this song in the first place. Like you said, it runs too long. It feels unnecessarily long. It's full of these grating synthesizers, these big electronic flourishes that, like you said, it's like sounds like it's really trying to be your 420 soundtrack super hard. And
like, can you feel it?
Exactly.
2.0.
But there are some things that I can't exactly throw away with this track. I really liked, I mean, like, Rome's vocals on this thing sounded okay. Josh Freese's drum fills kind of came in. They came in. I thought the drum fills sounded nice and kind of saved the song.
Drumming is nice, but it can't save a song.
Yeah, I just kind of imagined the producer looking at the band while they were recording this song, and he's like looking at his watch. He's like, guys, like there's nothing going on here.
And the band is so high they can't even notice.
They can't even respond to it, and they're just like, we're gonna keep playing for a few more minutes. That's what I imagine going on behind this song. Let's take a moment though and flip things to the positive side of the spectrum, okay? I want to talk about a track, Skankin, which is the next to last song on this album. It feels like one of the best and most vibrant, I guess, songs on this record.
Yeah, it's probably the one song here where they channel that more ska root side of Sublime.
It's this album's Panic.
Yeah, exactly. And, well, I mean, I wouldn't really consider it as good as Panic by a mile, but it's still the best song on this album in both of our opinions, I believe.
Yeah.
And now, I don't really know whether this kind of out-of-place song is a genuine thing, or it's kind of meant to pander to those original fans so they don't completely leave Sublime with Rome behind.
Right.
But it's still really refreshing on this album to have something that doesn't feel quite as, I guess, sanitized, and it's undeniably fun.
I was about to say, at the very least, it's fun. If you can't take anything else away from it, at least you had a decent enough time listening to it.
Exactly. And as long as we're talking about stuff going back to the band's roots, I remember on yours truly, there was that one song, Paper Cuts, that was just like this one punk song in the middle. But something I gotta give credit for in this album is that there are two.
Best of Me, and then of course Runnin' High. Two tracks that actually really work for me.
Both these have really much needed bursts of punk energy that we're really enjoying. With good riffs and really great guitar work from Rome that I really wasn't expecting.
Rome got a lot more invested in the vocals, I felt like. It seemed like he was a lot more like
Yeah,
passionate.
I mean, there was more like, Runnin' High was kind of spoken word, but it sounded like he was having a lot of fun doing that.
Exactly. Although I will point out that one spot on Best of Me, wherever he says, no, all I can think of whenever I hear that is from Welcome to the Jungle, Guns N' Roses, Axl Rose, no, knees. There's other tracks on this record that I just didn't feel personally too strongly towards, like some of the more filler content and almost some of the cringeworthy content, like Gasoline.
The thing about that song is that, like, it was like this kind of poppy, chipper song. You expect it to go somewhere with the pre-chorus, but then just like falls back on the same thing in the verse, and it's just being really forgettable. And last song we want to talk about
Well, I had before we get to that. There's one thing that I really cannot overlook with Gasoline, and it's
Right.
the fact that Rome tried to rhyme Tiffany's with me.
Preach.
He tried to force and make up an approximate rhyme there, and it just totally failed because he slurred the word Tiffany and with meh to try to make it work, and it's just...
As a songwriter, I should that is incredibly insulting.
Yeah.
Finally, Put Down Your Weapon is probably one of my least favorites on this album. I just had to mention one way or another.
Right.
It's just embarrassing. He tries to be this fuzzy, grimy psych rock song, but it just ends up coming off so trashy with these obligatory reggae organs, just make it even worse, and just it's just so disjointed with itself.
Slurred and unfocused.
Yeah,
really,
and God, let's just round this thing up.
Yeah, for me, I can't help but feel lukewarm at best. Like I said towards one of the tracks, that's how I feel about this entire record, really. There's some tracks I think I might pick off, maybe 4 or 5 that I might take away from this record and still continue listening to. But overall, personally, on my scale, I know I go on a scale of 5, he goes on a scale of 10.
I'll go on your scale of 5.
Okay, I'm going with a 2.5.
Honestly, I think I'm going to 2.
Well, we hope you guys enjoyed watching this collaborative review. If there's any other albums you'd like to see either of us tackle, of course you can head over to his channel, which is linked in the description down below. Leave a request there. Maybe subscribe while you're over there because he puts out content pretty much every week as often as he can. And of course, I'm putting out new videos every week as well, and I'd appreciate it if you subscribe to my channel as well.
Yeah.
You can find all of our links for pretty much everything in the description down below.
Yeah, and also we've done a couple other videos. Is the SOS going to be coming out after this?
That's not out yet, but the podcast is what will be out. The first episode.
Well, second
episode technically.
The rebooting.
Right, the reboot of the podcast that Mark has on his channel will be up. So you can click the annotation on the screen that's floating around the little box that we're in right now.
Or in the description.
Yeah, or in the description down below. Thanks so much for watching, and of course, I will see you very soon right here on ARTV.